Hi, thank you for tuning into another episode of State of the Arts, a podcast where art forms are embraced and artists are celebrated. I'm Lee, a hostess of ceremonies, and this is episode 98. I'm joined once again by Albert Crocus Pena, who was on another episode. Hi, about 3 weeks ago. This is actually a continuation of Mental Illness Awareness Week, who's the first guest I had on for this special 2 episode special was Sherry Upright. And now I am welcoming Albert Crocus Pena, who will be talking to us about his journey. Welcome to the show, Albert. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for being here once again.
It's a pleasure having you. And so let's talk about your journey through your mental illnesses and coming out. And right now, actually, I'm looking at this beautiful Halloween tree, which is right behind you, that you created in your apartment. It is stunning. I like that. It's so cool looking.
So we have the special background in itself, Well, being artistic, that's one of the things that gets you through, mental illness. So
it's just so important. It's therapeutic and it's an outlet. It's just a very important part of healing.
Yes.
So let's talk about the journey that you had. It goes back to the 1990s.
Well, actually, it goes back to previous to that. I'm gonna emphasize 1990s for a specific reason. But prior to that, and I want to say this, as a gay man and being in the Latino Hispanic, families, it was very, taboo or not accepted to be gay. And it took me a long time to get through that. But that would take more than half an hour in itself. But that's when it started. And the fact that I didn't like myself or didn't even care for my sexuality. I actually despised being gay. And to the point that I didn't even want to see my father, who passed away in when I was 15 years old. So from then, it was I decided to get. I joined the military at 17 years old because I wanted to escape. I wanted to escape myself. I wanted to escape reality, and unfortunately, you just can't escape yourself. And in that interim, jobs and myself wanted to be a bit more masculine or have masculine type jobs that made me feel better and also didn't question other people asking me if I was gay or not. It was just a period of time. So from 17, and then I joined the military, got out of the military. I still wasn't open to the situation. And in 1990, I was diagnosed with being HIV positive. So in times, in 2022, it's different. We're talking about 1990. If anybody have seen the show Pose, you would understand where anybody that was diagnosed in the 80s or the 90s, that it was basically a death sentence. And that's exactly what I felt, that it was a death sentence. So I went to a downward spiral in alcohol and drugs. And I even had a roommate, also gay, but we kept things to each other. We knew that we were gay, but we did just in a minute. It was just so taboo that we just didn't talk about it until the point was that I just started opening up a little bit more. I met more, gay people, and then started hanging out more and more. But it was so taboo in the household that I was HIV positive. He was HIV positive. And he never told me And then in 1993, he passed away from AIDS. And at that point, he was only 24 years old. At that point, it really hit me hard. So I decided, well, I'm going to die anyways. It's already been 3 years since I've been HIV positive since he passed away. So why not continue the drugs, alcohol until I die? Have fun, enjoy life until it's done. Because like I said, in those days, we considered it a death sentence, and we saw our friends die. We saw the turmoil. Even the city itself didn't even know what to do. So we, as people that were gay, we didn't know what to do either. In that same sense, that turmoil and the drugs and alcohol took its effect by the year 2000. And that's when I finally decided to take HIV medications. And that's when the cocktails were available. And the cocktails itself saved my life. That's the point of the 1990 situation to the year 2000.
That was the turning point for you.
At the same time, we didn't talk about it as much. And then, so we didn't talk about it in families. So I basically suffered on my own, almost dying, and deciding that, I want to live. And with the cocktails, I became better, the HIV cocktail regimen. I became much better. And but I always felt like I should keep things to myself, like no one really loved or whatever, because I did keep it to myself. Maybe I should have shared more at that time. But when my roommate had passed away, it was something that it was in my own apartment. I'm like, their families were fighting, this was family. No one wanted to admit and tell me that he was HIV positive and he died of AIDS. And so I figured that was my situation going to be in this. So when it came time for me to make a decision about that I want to live, and I've been seeing a psychiatrist since that day of 1990. And through all the therapy, through all the psychiatry, I felt that, it's not getting anywhere. My thought was, who am I if I don't drink, if I don't do drugs? I didn't recognize myself. I didn't know who I was. And I remember I believe the early 2000 everything, I had another psychiatrist, because you're always getting another therapist, another psychiatrist. I went to cognitive therapy, all that, and this one psychiatrist, I kept telling her, I'm not going to stop drinking. And at that time, I wasn't going to stop, doing drugs, and even smoking cigarettes, even to the point that at one time that I went to her office and I was already drunk. So the fact that I didn't want to is a big deal. And the fact that it was a psychiatry and dealing with all these emotions inside of me, I have really had no damn direction. And when I really was sick, I had ulcer in my esophagus. I was at a hospital. I'm going to mention the hospital. But I called my brother and I told him, take me out of here if you guys want me to. And he took me out of there, and I weighed 110 pounds or something, because the hospital itself didn't want to put a feeding tube or anything. They just left me for dead. And in those times, I think they left a lot of people for dead. Even in 2000, a lot of people did. So I called and I said to myself, I want to live. And I switched hospitals. The hospital didn't want to take any ambulance. We had to take a cab to go to my hospital, which is New York Presbyterian. And yes, I'm going to shout them out because of the fact that if it wasn't for New York Presbyterian, I wouldn't be alive today. So that's one of the journeys that I went through at that time.
That's amazing. You've overcome so much, and you're just epitome of resilience and creativity and strength.
Thank you so much. After that trial and tribulations of life and everything, I started anew. Of course, stopped drugging, drinking. I was so still distraught in regards to what I went through that I started getting anxiety attacks, panic attacks. The panic attacks and the anxiety attacks were so extreme that I didn't even want to leave my own apartment. I had a job that I worked for, Department of Probation in Brooklyn. It was just so hard to just even take the train. It was so hard that I used to, which is very illegal, to stand in the middle of the trains, in between the trains. My journey was I had to travel between the cars because I couldn't deal with the fact that I was in the car and with all those people. I had so much anxiety that I couldn't wait on a line. I had so much anxiety that it took me 30 minutes to get to the first floor when I lived on the third floor, to go into the grocery store. And a lot of times I did that on my own because I didn't want no one else to be involved in my situation. No family, no nothing. Because of all the history that was prior to that, but I just didn't realize how much they did care. And it took a while for me to realize how much they did really care. And I had to quit my job, and I worked for the Department of Probation. I had to quit my job because I was still doing drugs and alcohol just to make it and feel like I had any type of strength. And of course, alcohol is self-medication. The issue was if you do other types of drugs like cocaine. I never did crack, but the cocaine was something that I found out later in years that it does affect the way anxiety and panic affects you, the way all that affects you, the way you actually move and live. So I had to find out the hard way. So
At what point did you start performing and making friends with other artists and decorating and just blossom?
yeah, well, after all these years, when I found out that I was HIV positive in 1990, I also found out that I had hepatitis C, which at that time, hepatitis C, blah, blah, blah. What the hell is hepatitis C? Something you catch it because, we didn't know the difference between hepatitis A, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. We just thought hepatitis was something that was, some regular BS type of thing. But it honestly affected my liver, and people could have hepatitis C for many, 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 many years, 20 years. If you were born before 1965, you did have a transfusion that was hepatitis C. I personally don't know where I got it from, but I'm assuming it was sexual. But at the same time, I didn't take it seriously at the beginning. And then when I was at my regular doctor, seeing my psychiatrist, seeing my regular doctor for HIV and all that, I actually took medications that was an injection to cure my hepatitis C. Now, the injection was once every week. And I was told that I had to take this for 12 months. It ended up that I was taking it for 14 months. So you could imagine a human being going to the doctor's office each week to get an injection in your stomach to try to cure your hepatitis C. And through 14 months, I was not cured. 14 months without missing one appointment, not one. 14 months I spent taking an injection in my stomach. That's true champion. That's a good situation where you say, damn, I do want to live. But unfortunately, since it didn't work, I think that was like 2010, 2012, some things were happening in my body and the ammonia levels were rising. I'm not going to get into the technical terms because it's not going to make a difference. The situation was I was dying from hepatitis C. Not from HIV, not from anything else. I had stopped drinking in 2010 and drinking in 2010. So that's when I joined Facebook. People were like, oh, finally you joined Facebook. Oh, wow. And then that's when I gave the title Crocus, which it means cheerfulness, gladness, and happiness. So that's what I was striving for. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to share and give cheerfulness, gladness, and happiness. But unfortunately, in 2012 to 2013, my mind was not there, and my families would call me and say, "What's wrong with you?" They thought that I was doing drugs. Even the doctors thought that I was doing drugs because I was so tired. And then eventually, the hepatitis C was very bad, and they told me that you need to be interviewed for liver transplant. And that's when my psychiatrist came in, and she, advocating for me to from one hospital to another to say that he's a great candidate to get a liver transplant. Please give him a chance. And I was given that chance, and on September 18th, 2013, I was given 3 months to live.
Wow.
But 1 month later, before that hepatitis C just boomed up the numbers. And in 1 month, October 18th, 2013, I was given a liver transplant. Just 1 month later, they told me I had only 3 months to live, which would have been around my birthday in January. I had received a liver transplant in 2013. It's going to be a 10-year anniversary in it's 9 years. It'll be 10. I'm going to probably do something, but in 2015, well, okay, let's get to the artistic situation, right?
Yes, let's.
After I had my liver transplant, of course, I lost a lot of friends, and I just started anew. And I started joining these music groups on Facebook, and usually they were freestyle music, which is what you mentioned before, how I got my style of dancing and freestyle. I actually, ventured out in 2014. I met some people. I was at the Ruben Diaz Jr. Bronx Borough President event. And from there, I met some wonderful people. And from there, it grew. You know how Facebook is, there's you meet this person, you meet that person. Then eventually I started going out, but I didn't I still had the anxiety, I still had the nervous, I still had all that inside of me. And I was taking medications to relieve my anxiety. But then in 2015, after meeting these friends, I decided to perform in October 2014 at Bronx Academy of Arts and Dance. And I did a song called Take Me to Church, which was very poignant to me because of the storyline of Take Me to Church. So if you don't know it, look it up. And then from there on, in 2015, my 50th birthday, um, those same people that I met actually performed for my 50th birthday. And that's when I also performed All About That Bass. And I had Tim Moss. He performed the song that meant a lot to both of us. It was called I Am Changing. And when the song is by Jennifer Holliday, and the song talks about I am changing. And I told him to relate the song to him because he also had issues with alcohol and drugs in his past, way behind his back. But I told him, do that song for both of us. And I sat on a chair, and he sang the song. He was like in tears. And I'm like, I'm in tears too, because in his note he said he didn't know that he was going to survive. He didn't know that Albert was going to still be, and I was here. And from then on, I decided that this feels good. This gives me strength. Performing on stage and trying my best to not feel scared. So it was an empowerment situation. And I love the empowerment of being on stage and telling a story. Or it could be somebody else's story, but it was a story of strength. The song was whatever I did was songs of strength. I love being in front of the stage. It's like I needed to do this. The same way that I needed to be in front of people and tell my story, especially to trainees that were becoming doctors, and I just wanted to tell my story of how and the struggles that I went through and where I'm at now. So there you go.
And that's so beautiful. Would you say Facebook was the catalyst to set you on this positive road?
I would say the fact that going to that event in 2014 for the Ruben Diaz Jr. event and seeing my friends, well, they weren't friends at that time, but seeing them and then acquiring their friendship. And then in 2015, because they were performers, they said, well, why don't you perform with us? And that's where it started. And I performed with them on my 50th birthday. And I don't know if you know Tyra Ross, the from Pose, the TV show Pose, and Strut. She actually performed on my 50th birthday too. Which now she has become more famous and everything. And then I have my friend Sylvester perform, and now he has his, I think, fourth album. And I'm like so proud of these people, Not everybody made it famous, but some of them did. But at the same time, that was the catalyst for me to feel that I need to be on stage whenever I do. I'm not considered a performer. I'm a lip syncer in that same sense, but I still say that I perform. You see my performance. I don't know if you could add that performance I did with that I sent you the link to. I'm Alive or Bird Set Free. All the songs have meaning, and all the songs have the meaning of strength. And that's what I love to do.
Wow, that's great. So you decided to just take the leap when you were invited to perform that first time.
Yeah, because it felt good. And plus, you have to challenge yourself. I think in life with mental illnesses, and, when you have, obstacles in front of you, whatever obstacle that is not letting you go to where you need to be, you take that challenge. And those obstacles are things that you need to conquer. So the obstacle for me is that I have social anxiety and panic attacks. And it usually involves me being in a setting where there's a lot of people. So going up on stage and submitting myself to a situation that I am so uncomfortable with, but yet conquered, that is what you call strength. That is what you deal with on a daily basis with a lot of things. So whatever you're fearful of, strive to conquer. Do your best. And believe me, the first time that I was on stage, I had so much anxiety that I had to take a couple of extra pills to calm me down. But at the same time, I saw the performance. They saw my performance, and it's like, wow. And I put a lot of energy into what I do. I mean, I had these wings that would just flare up while I was performing, inflatable wings, and that's exactly how I did a lot of my performances. I always try to involve wings of wisdom, wings of strength, wings of glory, and you always rise. And it was a situation where most of my performances had some type of wings, either by manually or inflatable, whatever, some type of wings that would tell me I am strong. And that's what helped me deal with my depression, anxiety, and mental illness.
And the wings symbolize rising above your circumstances too.
There are actually wings on this tree, but you probably can't see them because they're in the back here.
Yeah.
And they're white. They're white wings back. Those are the wings that I actually performed in one of my performances. And I keep them there because the person that took care of me when I was sick, he passed away. He passed away from a drug overdose. And I dedicated the song to him. And I was speaking to God, asking why he passed away, or why you took him. So I kept my wings, and I had these wings on there for a whole year. I had not taken that tree down. I just changed it up. And I actually took a course in drug overdose, just in case someone out there needs my help, and that's a good thing. Power of strength to help out others, to make people feel good about themselves, about myself, because it's always a two-way street. We do things to make you feel good, to make them feel good, to give both of us strength, both people.
It's great. It's a strength that you share with each other. What type of advice would you give other people who are going through difficult times that may be similar to what you went through?
Don't give up. There's always someone out there that will listen to you. Just pay attention for those that listen to you. Don't listen to all the negativity, because there's a lot of people out there that will try to bring you down or tell you that you're not good enough or whatever. If you feel good enough, then that's good. There's a lot of times where people give you advice, and sometimes that advice doesn't mean anything. Take the advice of those that give you strength. You can't just say, oh, get over it. Oh, go see a psychiatrist. You need to find yourself and say, I am worthy, I am loved, and there are people out there that love me for who I am. You just got to surround yourself with those people. You just got to find them and envelop yourself with them. If it wasn't from that time, from 2014, to what I'm doing now, I have met so many beautiful, fabulous people, and that's when I started styling and decorating, and my whole apartment is just, I live by myself. My dog Chewy doesn't care about my decorations. He doesn't care. how I do this. He just cares that he gets fed and he could hug me in the middle of the night, whatever, and vice versa. But I've been invited to many places, you know, and I've heard so many great things from this. Because I remember you telling me, it says, oh, when we went to that event for Tim Moss for his 60th birthday, the same Tim Moss that sang for my 50th birthday, you saw me there at his 60th birthday. And he just actually sang for me this September when I had the music 45 singles. Do you remember those 45 singles, the little vinyl records? And he sang, we had a whole bunch of people in the house, and he was there, a whole bunch of people there. And I would never have met these people, and they're in the fashion industry, they're artists, they're singers, and all that stuff. So all that would just make you feel good. So you surround yourself with all these people that are positive and that enlighten you, and that give you that praise that is meaningful, and that praise that says, you know what, you're a good person. What you do is good. And through all the craziness that we've been through, because I know a lot of people go through a lot of craziness, you are special. And you got to embrace that specialness inside of you. Don't listen to all the negativity. Don't listen to the Facebook things. Don't listen to the ones that are closest to you. And the only ones that are going to be closest to you is the one that has been there since day one. And you always, and don't think that you might have friends that was in the past, but sometimes you got to start new. Sometimes you got to let go of what was before and let go of those same people that was before, because they didn't encourage you. You got to step up. Life is all about stepping up and encouraging and giving you positive feedback on everything that you do.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful advice. And you're such an inspiration, a great role model.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I thank you for giving me this platform when I honestly wasn't ready to either share or wasn't given the opportunity. But I'm glad that I shared this. This is the first time that I actually opened up in that same sense of my vulnerability. And we're all vulnerable, always in some stage of life, with our significant others, with life, with in general. So it takes a lot of courage to even be here and say what I had to say. It took me a long time to get here, but I finally said what I needed to say. And thank you.
Thank you.